Take 5. What the fuck is up, my fucking goons, goblins, and what's the word? Geese. We are back with another Art is Alive interview. Today I have Ashleigh Kutryb. You might know her as at Lucid Dream Artistry. She's a good friend of mine, fellow photographer, Orlando creative. Ashleigh, how the fuck are you?
I'm super excited to be interviewed by you today and to just kind of, talk about all the photographer tea, and let's just get right into it.
Hell yeah, let's do it. So I'll kick this off by asking, what's your background in photography? How you got started? A little bit of that.
Yeah, so I kind of started to get interested in it I would say a few years after Instagram just got started, maybe around 7th grade, 6th, 7th grade. I just wanted to get cute pics of myself for Instagram. So me and my older sister used to kind of just go on little photo shoots of each other, really casual and low key. And I don't know, it was just something that I really liked, and just we kept doing it. And then when I got to high school, I got the chance to take a photography class, and I got more interested in it. And then I took AP photography the next year, and I learned more about the technicalities, learning how to shoot in manual mode, learning about composition and everything kind of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I graduated high school and went to college, I got even more into it and kind of treated it more as a hobby, and then kind of led me until now with my business.
Super dope. Also, you have a little bit of a background in theater. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get started with theater?
So actually my older sister, Savannah, kind of literally convinced me.
Shout out to Sav. Holy shit.
She convinced me fully to join. She was she kind of hyped me up, because I feel like I've always been kind of, I feel like I always used to make characters up and kind of have a very fun, outgoing personality. And she was like, "You'd be so good at theater." And I was like, she really encouraged me. I was like, okay. And then I ended up joining, and it was so much fun. And I feel like it's definitely influenced who I am today, because I feel like when you're on stage in theater, that is so fucking scary.
Yeah.
And incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
Incredibly vulnerable to be on stage,
especially
in front of that many people.
I don't think people realize, but comedy, if you're not naturally a funny person, is the most difficult thing to convey on stage, because anyone can be serious, anyone can be angry, anyone can I don't want to say fake cry, because there's people that really suck at it, but to be funny, you can't teach that.
Yeah.
And I think you worded it perfectly, where you're just so vulnerable on stage, and I don't think a lot of people understand just how much
gut
yeah.
it takes. And I think that it's made me more fearless as a person, just in regards to everything, because I feel like when people are oh, how do you because sometimes I'll go up to a random person at a party, sober, and just be like, "Hey, yo, what's your name?" People are like, "How do you do that? How do you do that sober?" I'm like, low key, I feel like it kind of stems from theater, being able to just audition in front of random people and just do it.
Once you start doing the weird shit that some plays have you do, it's who gives a shit when you go up to any random person.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important to just turn off your brain, stop being so scared of the person in front of you, and just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Or just, maybe that person that's, standing in the corner at a party is going to be your new best friend, or a great connection for business, or give you a reference. So I want to circle a little bit back to your main bread and butter, which is photography. And if you're familiar with Ashleigh's work, her work is very vibrant, expressive, and fucking crazy, to put it. So talk me through your brain when you're editing these photos.
Yeah. I feel like I've always been drawn to color and things that are very bright. I know there's a lot of photographers that are the complete opposite of me. I feel like you kind of can lean more in like the moody kind of lower exposure, like that kind of realm. But I don't know, I've just always been drawn to that. And I feel like I've always just been drawn to create something that's like different, because I think a lot of the stuff that I see online is like, okay, like you saw a photo on Pinterest and you just recreated it, which of course, it's good to draw inspiration and stuff from, but at the same time, I think it's also good to
like put your own spin on it.
Yeah, put your own spin on it.
Like there's only one of you. No one else is going to create the exact same photo as you.
Yeah.
With the exact same settings.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of my editing nowadays is heavy on Photoshop, and I think that I was drawn to Photoshop because with Photoshop, like with Photoshop, the possibilities are literally endless. I mean, that sounds so cheesy, but literally when you learn Photoshop, I could do anything. Like, oh, you want to be on a frog and you want to like have a banana costume on? All right, like
I had the weirdest fucking shoot idea, which for those that don't know, I suck at Photoshop, but I was in the shower and I was like, dude, how fucking cool would it be if there were like just giant goldfish like just swimming around me, like just floating in the air? So I'm like, how do I get to that point? So I need to learn Photoshop, moral of the story. So with your photography, how has that helped you in expressing yourself?
I think with photography, it's kind of helped me be more authentic and true to myself, because I think that we as humans, like every single one of us is creative, but not every single one of us has reached that point where we are able to be self-aware and tap into our creative potential. Because I think to be creative is to be kind of a free-flowing soul, kind of when you're a child and you just have these random ideas like, I want to be a fairy, I want to be a mermaid. Like you can still, it's kind of just allowing those thoughts to flow, you know, kind of when I'm like coming up with a concept and I'm like what if somebody was like a fish mermaid coming out of the water and they
I'm noticing a theme here
have
with
a
aquatic
fishing
shoots.
pole, you know what I mean?
No, I think that's a great point. When you're a kid, you're super like fearless. Like you don't care like what other people are thinking. Like you said, like, oh, I want to be a fairy, I want to be a mermaid, I want to be this, I want to be that. And I think that's so important that we hang on to that as we get older, because, you know, other adults might be like, oh, that's weird. Who gives a shit, honestly? Yeah. Like, I think just be fearless, be bold. That's what I feel art is to me. So
I feel like the best artists are the ones that care the least about what people think about them, because that's when you're able to non-judgmentally come up with all these concepts and not be scared of what people are going to think about them and not like judge yourself for them, you know? I feel like a lot of people, or maybe a lot of photographers who are kind of just like, I don't know, like aren't coming up with any concepts that are different. Like, I think they're kind of scared about, oh, like that's weird or this and that. It's like,
let me stick to the norm.
You want people to think it's weird because that like sparks controversy, you know, and like makes people talk about it.
But then here's the counter argument of like, what if you want to shoot for like corporations and they're not essentially looking for that, I guess, bold, fearless. They want sort of the safe, I guess I'll call it, the clean. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, it all just depends, I guess, on what you're trying to do, because I guess I'm kind of referring more as like portraits, creative portraits and such. But I think that in terms of developing your style, I think that when you have your style, you kind of will attract those people and brands that will like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
so if you're talking about brands like for me in the future, ideally, I guess I would want to attract those brands. Like the brands that I'm going to attract are going to be different from, for example, maybe the brands that you'll attract because their styles are different. Like I think the brands that kind of reach out to me are the ones who kind of are like, ooh, like I love that cool, colorful vibe and everything. So
put out what you want to receive.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, as I look at my imaginary watch, my Rolex, what's a final message that you'd want to give to your fellow creatives out there, or just any last pieces of advice?
A piece of advice that I would give is to make sure that you have a creative community and you have that kind of support system, because I think that having that community definitely like helps you grow as an artist. And I would definitely, something that was really helpful for me early on was finding kind of, photography model meetups and just kind of connecting with them and learning about what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and just helping each other out and helping each other grow. Oh, one more thing is just, as cheesy as it sounds, don't be afraid to be different. And with one thing that helped me develop my photography style was just to get off social media for a certain time and just like sit down with a pen and paper and just like, instead of just constantly like looking at what you see on the internet, like this person do this, oh, blah, 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 blah. But then it's just like, okay, like pivot to yourself and be like, what do I want to do? And just, I guess, do things for yourself. Because I think a lot of the times it's easy to subconsciously do things for other people. But then when you take that away, like just create art solely for yourself for a certain period of time, and then you'll develop your style.
Fuck.
Period.
Bars.
That was bars.
That was fucking bars. I'm glad you added that last part. But thank you, Ashleigh, for pulling up. Thanks for your time, your insight.
I like to do charity work sometimes. What can I say?
Where can people find you? Say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, so make sure to follow me on my Instagram, which is @lucid.dream.artistry. Yeah, and also on TikTok @luciddreamartistry. And I mean, that's pretty much the basics.
You heard it here, folks.
Oh, one more thing.
God damn it.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to shoot me a DM and I'd be happy to chat with you guys. And make sure to watch and make sure to stay tuned for Chris Ateratua's next interviews.
Okay, you saved it there. But you heard it here first, folks.
Folks.
Thank you guys for listening to another Art is Alive interview. Drink some juice, fuck a moose. Oh, shit.
What did you say?
Fuck that.